Chapter 2. The Last Biblical Dialogue. The highly anticipated day began with routine: breakfast, studying, lunch, a bit of reading. It ended with an outing among friends. A stream bordered Kirienko's dacha. The water flowed peacefully. Navasard entered the kitchen through the newly opened window. The scarlet hue of a plastic rose caught his eye, sitting in a narrow vase, covered in a thin layer of dust, forgotten by all, yet remaining immaculate, as beautiful as ever. Kirienko was walking away down the hallway, heading toward the shadows. Navasard took off his shoes, approached quickly, and delivered a swift punch to the back of his neck. The unconscious body collapsed to the floor. When he regained consciousness, he saw three people arguing heatedly. Their voices were deep. Three boys, then. They wore half-face motorcycle masks. Kirienko tried to raise a hand. In vain, both were bound by electrical cables behind a beam. He looked around. He was in his cellar. One of the boys noticed him moving, signaled to the others, and began to speak.
Yesterday, I dreamt of a childhood memory. The one where I catch a grasshopper with a cup, then dismember it alive. In the eyes of an ordinary condemned man, what do we see? I perceive deliverance. The deliverance of the sinner whose flesh and bones are burned, carbonized, then cauterized, and so on for eternity. But at a given moment, we don't know when, his perpetual punishment is pardoned. I see this deliverance, this moment of forgiveness and grace, where a slight vanity turns into ether, gracefully filling the soul of human dreams.
I'm gonna fuck you up, you wild rat!
He spat between the eyes that slowly approached him, staring impassively.
It's thick and viscous, your saliva.
He wiped it off and carefully smeared the glob of spit into Kirienko's face.
You're thirsty, aren't you? Come on, let's make some tea.
Two of boys stepped away, climbing the stairs toward the ground floor and the kitchen. Kirienko closely watched the third person, his guard. A black t-shirt clung to his muscles, highlighting their contours. Kirienko screamed with all his might, his lungs shriveled from everyday cigarette smoke. The boy in black reacted, placing his palm over Kirienko's mouth to silence him. Their eyes met. Kirienko started screaming again, muffled, gagged by the rough palm, covered in hard blisters. The boy's other hand moved behind the beam, grabbed Kirienko's left index finger, and bent it backward until it snapped. The palm pressed even harder against Kirienko's mouth, preventing any sound from escaping. Shortly after, Kirienko's left pinky snapped with a dull crack. The muffled screams intensified.
If you want me to keep going, you'll scream when I let go.
A few moments later, there was only silence and submission in the politician's eyes. The boy who had spoken to Kirienko returned with two transparent cups, hot and fogged up.
I also have a story to tell you. Imagine cheese, made from human milk, specially for babies like you. Made with love by your mothers, those whore cows who birthed sons of bitches like you.
You're obscene today. We aren't as infantile and ignorant as your imagination leads you to believe.
I clearly see that you are young, immature, not even 20 years old. I will find you, and if it's not me, it will be someone else. One day, somewhere. Wait for that moment, and until then, tremble. Shit your pants in anticipation, with the indigestible cheese of your whore mothers.
Well, to make it easier for you, I'll tell you my name. But first,
Georgi stood up and, with care, brought a cup to Kirienko's lips, then tilted it slightly. A few drops splashed onto the floor covered in dust and mouse droppings. Kirienko did not yield. Georgi looked at him with disappointment, pulled a carved wooden salt shaker from his pocket, delicately unscrewed it, and poured salt into his hand. Kirienko recognized the salt shaker. It belonged to him, probably retrieved from his kitchen. Standing behind Kirienko, Georgi grabbed his jaw, pressed on his cheeks, between the teeth, forced the lips apart, and pried his mouth open. Instantly, the palm of his other hand began to fill it with grains of salt, violently rubbing his gums, lips, and tongue. Kirienko salivated, coughed, and exhaled heavily, losing control of his breathing. The boy in black held his legs, which hammered the ground all around, relentlessly and with palpable despair. Kirienko's body resembled a trapped octopus, caught in a hopeless situation. Georgi wiped his wet, salty hand on the politician's hair, then turned around to face him. Their eyes met once again. At that moment, detached from the others, Sergei kept watch outside. A streetlight flickered in the courtyard. A bird's silhouette cast a shadow on the sidewalk near the entrance gate. The shadow of an apple tree branch sliced it in two with every gust of wind. A lightness could be felt in the air. An almost divine uncertainty crossed Sergei's mind. He observed the world, which conveyed a very clear thought to him. The beauty of the moment is the pinnacle. For the feeble soul that he was, action never prevailed over thought. A grasshopper jumped over his left foot, then, methodically, over his right. He followed it with his eyes. The grace of nature offered him a world without borders, a place where antelopes and lions coexisted. Yet reality was different. The cycle of violence and redemption fed itself perpetually, swallowing up genius and beauty, confusing them with stupor. Man was a part of it, a crucial and irreplaceable element. This world of serenity and deliverance, this purgatory he observed around him, was attainable only through the infliction of evil. Sergei opened his eyes, rolled his mask, and lit a cigarette. It paired perfectly with the tea. In the basement, Georgi shot a long look at Navasad, sighed, then approached Kirienko, the same teacup in hand. Yielding to a physical need, parched, Kirienko's lips finally parted. Georgi sat across from him, legs crossed on a cushion. The psychoactive compounds released through the saliva would mix with his blood in about 30 minutes.
Before tearing the grasshopper apart, I trapped it in a clear cup and pierced it with a needle. Its natural innocence added a religious character to the act, giving it the aura of an ancestral sacrifice. Suffering fulfills human beings, like the resigned, solemn implorations of Christ on the cross. This moment of sacred apostasy, of renouncing God, of ultimate atheism, it transgressed and inspired, attracted and absorbed, led to the abandonment of the divine values. I wanted to become a Roman soldier and inflict the mortal stigma on the Son of God. I desired this transcendental gaze. I sought the transgression of the permitted and the forbidden, and I found refuge in the mutilation of insects, far from reproving eyes.
Kirienko thought he heard the voice of the devil. Yet, he saw a simple boy, his brown eyes and black around. He closed his eyes. Time was flowing differently, he could feel it. From now on, he could see with his eyes closed. He witnessed massive explosions, dancing heads, agonizing faces, then perfect geometric figures that aligned, detached, created other figures, recognizable one moment, unrecognizable the next. Spheres, triangles, circles in the colors of life, a whole rainbow. The image suddenly took on an impenetrable black hue, gradually changed texture, and metamorphosed into a horde of demons swallowed by the devil himself and vomited up by a baby with decomposed features, screaming in pain, an infinite, universal anguish, slicing through the whole universe like a red thread. A thread vibrating softly to the rhythm of Kirienko's heartbeat. Finally, silence set in, broken by a female voice.
It sucks that you're here.
She grabbed his hand, staring intensely into his eyes. A wave of conflicting emotions overwhelmed Kirienko, a politician usually so resolute and self-assured. It was his ex-wife. It was as if he still loved her. Kirienko regained his senses. The ghosts of his past briefly occupied fragments of his present. He relived a distant feeling of warmth, only to be abruptly dragged back to reality, to the basement of his dacha. The reminiscence snapped shut, giving way to the agonizing reverie of the physical world. The time-darkened memories dissipated, and the emptiness became palpable. His teeth ground and chattered, his breathing erratic, sporadic. With every exhalation, a slow groan escaped him. A thread of saliva stretched from his mouth, steadily creeping toward the dust-covered floor.
What did you see?
Kirienko began to bash the back of his skull against the wooden beam to which his body was tightly bound. The first strike, the second strike. He stopped. Georgi followed the movement with his eyes, waiting for what would come next. Third strike. A cry of despair. Heavy tears now adorned Kirienko's face, falling and pattering against the ground, leaving dark spots in the dust. They cascaded like diamonds poured from one jewelry box into another. Fourth strike. Fifth strike. Sixth strike. Georgi stood up, grabbed the cushion from beneath him, and wedged it between the beam and Kirienko's head.
You finally feel the despair that the people you are supposed to represent endure. Day after day, week after week. You finally weep out of anguish, just like the families shattered by the war you helped unleash. You were one of the cogs at the very least. You are going to fully comprehend the consequences of your actions. The bitter fruit of your politics, you piece of shit.
At that moment, caught by a sound, Georgi's eyes locked through the basement window onto the trunk of a weeping willow growing in the dacha's garden. A green woodpecker clung to it, repeatedly drumming into the thick bark. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause. A beautiful rhythm. Certainly better than the one Kirienko had just produced with his empty head, Georgi judged.
It is man who creates ideas, but it's the ideas that possess him. It's high time to change yours.
Kirienko did not hear this last sentence. He plunged back into his hallucinations. Georgi observed the silhouette of the man, now silent and motionless. He was probably too thirsty. The dose of tea hadn't been properly tailored to his needs.
Stop these images. Stop these visions, please. I can't go on.
Don't worry, you'll survive. It's just a little intoxication.
He returned to his seat, placing the cushion once again under his buttocks.
What can I say? By trying to bury the sins of the past, we dig our own grave.
Kirienko snapped his eyes open. He was sweating and trembling.
Where are your balls? Face your fears. It's the only way through.
His monotonous voice reached Kirienko with a delay. The politician no longer had control over his hearing. He finally closed his eyes. Lines, an endless system of pipes, stacked and tangled, a labyrinth whose end was a pulsating cross. A cross made of flesh that turned gangrenous, bled, shriveled, huddled, and bled even more. Through a deafening silence, a voice screamed,
Jesus still suffers for your sins. You killed him, and you drank his blood, and you ate his flesh. He never resurrected. He still suffers for your sins. He suffers forever because of you.
Kirienko noticed dots on the floor, large ones and small ones, his tears and his sweat. These dots multiplied and weaved through space. Another line appeared, this one composed of dots that vanished, reappeared, and vanished again. Kirienko thought they represented human lives. The drops lying on the ground suddenly took on a profound significance in his eyes. Each shining dot represented the human lives he had touched, directly or indirectly. The dots spread out and disappeared, symbolizing the birth, life, and death of the people who had been affected by his actions and decisions. This realization overwhelmed him with contradictory emotions. He felt a heavy responsibility for the consequences of his actions, but also a certain helplessness in the face of the magnitude of their reach. The weight of the souls he had touched nevertheless weighed heavily on his shoulders. Kirienko understood he had the power to change things for better or worse. His choices in the past now seemed inadequate to him. These drops of tears and sweat were a reminder of the importance certain decisions had on the fate of so many people, directly and indirectly. As this realization sank deep within him, Kirienko felt a new determination grow. He wanted to fight, to try and repair the mistakes he had made. But the fog around these thoughts thickened.
What do you see?
I see everything, but I have to get out. I have to get out of this.
Don't worry. After every storm, the calm returns. And the greater the storm, the more serene the calm.
You're an executioner.
If I am an executioner, my tortures resurrect. They do not kill. Look at your tears. They are pure, sincere. A piece of corrupt rot like you has never been less repulsive.
Go fuck yourself, asshole.
Georgi said nothing. Silence is the worst punishment, especially for someone hallucinating on psilocybes. He sees a bloody sink. A deformed fetus is inside, the size of a newborn, with a reddish body and an alien head, devoid of developed limbs. Blood escapes from its navel, flowing through the pipes, dripping through the strainer, drop by drop. Its chest contracts with every beat of its weak heart, its mouth wide open, desperately searching for air. It turns to him and declares,
I will not forget the moments when you mutilated me to satisfy your ephemeral desires. It all started 6 months ago, and nothing is over yet. The nightmare continues. Because at the crucial moment, you didn't have the strength to fully face my existence, or existence in general. The most demanding challenge, which you miserably failed. These 3 boys are the messengers, witnesses to your pathetic lust, a materialization of the voice that abandoned you.
Whatever you're seeing, your visions for sure are becoming personal. So you're nearing the end. You held on well. Anyway, to finish it off, I brought a book. I'll read you an excerpt. You'll like this, religious as you are. And I heard behind me a loud voice, like the sound of a trumpet, which said, What you see, write it in a book. I turned to see whose voice it was that spoke to me, and having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands, and in the midst of the 7 lampstands, one like a son of man, clothed with a long robe and with a golden sash around his chest. His head and his hair were white as white wool, like snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze, refined in a furnace. And his voice was like the roar of many waters. He had in his right hand 7 stars. Out of his mouth came a sharp 2-edged sword, and his face was like the sun shining in its full strength. When I saw him, I fell at his feet as though dead. But he laid his right hand on me, saying, Fear not, I am the first and the last, and the living one. I died, and behold, I am alive forevermore. I hold the keys of death and Hades. Wait, I'm looking for the next passage. Here. There was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth. The full moon became like blood, and the stars of the sky fell to the earth, as a fig tree casts its unripe figs when shaken by a fierce wind. The sky vanished like a scroll that is being rolled up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. Then the kings of the earth, and the great ones, and the generals, and the rich, and the powerful, and everyone, slave and free, hid themselves in the caves and among the rocks of the mountains. And the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared to blow them. The first angel blew his trumpet, and there followed hail and fire, mixed with blood, which were thrown upon the earth. And a third of the earth was burned up, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood, and a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of their light might be darkened, and a third of the day might be kept from shining, and likewise a third of the night. The fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from heaven to earth. The key to the shaft of the bottomless pit was given to him, and he opened the shaft of the bottomless pit. And smoke rose from the shaft, like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the smoke from the shaft. From the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions of the earth. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth, nor any green plant, nor any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were allowed to torment them for 5 months, but not to kill them. And their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings a man. In those days, people will seek death and will not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them.
He lowered the book.
It's long, but there's a reason. Because did you know that incense in the Christian church originally contained, in its still pagan version, cannabis? The histories of Herodotus mention that the Scythians used to pitch a tent and burn hemp seeds inside on heated stones, a sort of hammam. The same goes for the Eucharist. The bread back then was indeed a piece of Amanita muscaria. By this, I simply mean that you, Stanislav, a common man and a rotten politician, just spoke to God.
Sergei entered the basement and discovered a humiliated body, with broken fingers, hollowed eyes, a paralyzed mouth, and dried tears on his cheeks. He also saw Georgi, a hooded prophet proclaiming the final chapter of the New Testament. Navasard, his guard, arms crossed and motionless at his side, was listening to him while observing Kirienko's progressively returning breath.
War is a way to live for those who have nothing left to lose. What do I have to lose? It's already too late. I might as well drag the whole world down with me. For why should I be the only one to feel this emptiness, this despair?
Indeed, sometimes questions are far more important than answers.
Except there are no solutions in questions. I've already wasted, depreciated, simply destroyed everything. A dead end. Truly a dead end.
There is always a way out. You simply chose to remain in the dark, telling yourself no exit exists, when it was right in front of you. Ultimately, the oldest and most fundamental story is the opposition between light and darkness. And light always wins, if you ask me. Look at yourself, wretched, wanting to spread your malaise, to make us all in your image, miserable. It's selfish, but your ego is experiencing a rebirth.
It's time. Nav, loosen the cables around his wrists. Let's go.
Navasad turned his gaze toward Sergei, then to Georgi, who, after a moment of silence, gave his approval with a nod.
Stanislav Kirienko, you are now free to become the agent of your new faith, of your renewed conviction. The essence of our existence has been recalled to you, and you have the power to spread this truth and die for something you truly hope for. Politics is dirty, but you know how to play the game. We will be watching you.
The 3 shadows stood tall before a body returning to life, freed from hallucinations but still motionless. Georgi finished his final speech. His 2 comrades behind him observed him, one with admiration, the other with unease.
If it's not me,
Kirienko began straightening up and leaning against the beam.
someone else will catch you.
He stared at the silhouette in the center. The tall shadow in the back, the one who had dislocated his 2 fingers, plunged his gaze into his. like a beast on guard, ready to attack at any moment. Finally, the three shadows went upstairs, disappearing into the night, leaving Kirienko grappling with his long uncertainties and perplexities. The muffled sound of their steady footsteps broke the deafening calm, eventually dispersing, melting into the surrounding space. Every Thursday late afternoon, Sergei and Igor played chess during their shop class for boys. That Thursday, 3 days after the incident, was no exception.
Queen to h4. Your king is in the same spot as at the start of the game.
King to e2.
Knight to g3.
King to e3.
Bishop to c3. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Looks like you slept badly. What do you usually do at night?
Classmates crowded around, noticing that Sergei was playing much riskier than usual. Alexander Petrovich, the woodworking teacher, stood beside the players, arms crossed, looking pensive.
Rook to a3.
Knight to h1.
Georgi and Navasard slipped into the classroom, drawn by the noise.
King to a5.
Knight to c6. Checkmate. Go cry to your mommy, you little leftist. Your turn to do the chores now, finally.
We missed the juiciest part.
Igor, this is your first win in how many months? You don't even remember yourself, actually. Sure, you win a battle, but not the war. Don't forget that Sir still holds the highest total score.
Yeah, but you know what? All those times I lost, I was giving my enemy confidence. Until he looks down on me, gets too overconfident in his abilities, and loses, and gets demoralized. Dugin's doctrine, kid.
Dugin propagandist. Get fucked.
The spectators dispersed. Regardless of their opinions, no one wanted to engage in a political debate at school. Georgi and Igor exchanged a final look.
Here, you either play chess or you work with wood. You guys are doing neither, so get out.
Alexander Petrovich, just for the record, it was Igor who called Sergei a little leftist.
However, you're the one who lost control and started yelling. Go on, get out. And next time, ask for my permission to enter.
They complied and headed for the exit. Once over the threshold, a voice called out to them.
What happened in here?
Anya? Nothing. We're leaving.
He hurried over to Sergei and Navasard, who were already getting their things in the locker room. Once outside, Georgi stopped and glanced at Sergei, who was walking slowly beside Navasard, head down, scrutinizing his feet and the imperfections of the ground below.
Sir!
Both froze, but only Navasard turned toward Georgi.
You know, in the digital age, where the most futile and useless opinions pile up without disappearing, the truth is precious. The values you fervently believe in, you must defend with strength, to the very end, without betraying yourself.
You talk too much, you know?
That's what I do. But don't forget, people who claim to be explorers of the human psyche are often just imposters, incapable of proposing solutions for universal well-being. We, on the other hand, are trying to do the opposite.
Sergei walked away without another word. Along his path, he recognized less and less of the world around him. The details seemed foreign, even hostile. He lost himself in the weight of the silence and sank into the darkness of the thoughts that now inhabited him.
Instead of making fiery speeches the way you do, you should have just explained to him what happened at Kirienko's.
Not in a public place. Don't worry, he'll understand my message. He just needs some time.
The next day, after finishing his homework around midnight, Georgi stepped out into the courtyard to smoke a cigarette. During the day, a sudden snowstorm had covered the young grass and the cherry tree buds. The wind was blowing hard. It was the ideal weather for a graffiti night, Georgi decided. Going back inside, he checked if his mother was snoring with sufficient regularity. He knew the rhythm. She was deeply asleep. He put on 2 pairs of sweatpants, 2 sweaters, and an anorak. Back in the courtyard, he slid his hand into a cupboard, past jars filled with pickles, tomatoes, cabbage chunks, and garlic cloves, all homemade preserves, and felt the bottom of the shelf with his fingertips, then a smooth, curved surface. The can of red spray paint was hidden there. He stepped outside. The street ahead was plunged into a stark, dark color. Snowflakes scratched at his face. The freezing wind paralyzed his nostrils. The city center was 7 kilometers away. He'd be there in about 20 minutes on the electric bike. He put on a surgical mask, both to keep warm and to preserve his anonymity. In case of a random stop, he would claim to be afraid of COVID, especially with the graduation exams coming up. The bike's headlight illuminated a few meters of snow-covered ground, making the snowflakes sparkle. They blinded him, and at this wind speed, looked like white lines slicing through the impenetrable darkness. In this area, at the edge of the city, there were no streetlights or lampposts. His eyes fixed on the sequence of imperfections in the road surface, and ahead, through a whitish chaos. No police in sight for now. Georgi crossed the railroad tracks and entered the city. A succession of dilapidated houses, abandoned by their owners, filed past on both sides. Behind him was Municipal School Number 5, surrounded by a 1-meter concrete wall painted white. His gaze traced a diagonal line, then a horizontal one. He was scanning, searching for cameras, people, cars, ahead of and behind him. The howling wind glided along the streets, brushed the walls of the houses, filling the entire space. There was no one. Georgi straightened up, kicked down the kickstand, approached the wall adjacent to the school entrance, took out the can, and made a few motions with his right hand. A hiss from the nozzle reached Georgi's ear, surprising him. A few red drops bounced off the wall and stained the sleeve of his anorak. His index finger released the nozzle. The red inscription read, "No to War." Georgi got back on his bike, hid the spray can in his backpack, and immediately rode off, through small alleys, invisible city arteries generally deserted even in normal times, until he reached the city center, then stopped across from the city hall. The field of view of one of the cameras at the entrance pointed excessively toward the street, creating a blind spot of about a meter near the wall to the right of the main entrance. One could approach the building from the left, bypass the cone of the second camera, and enter the blind spot. With this weather and being masked, the context proved particularly favorable. Georgi got off the bike and started walking through the snow, casually, giving the impression that he had a flat tire while waiting for the right moment. The entrance to City Hall was lit by a street lamp. A human silhouette holding an object would be easily spotted from afar. A pedestrian was passing through the parallel street, walking a dog that, judging by its trembling and zigzagging gait, was not enjoying the walk. There was no one else around. Georgi decided to cross. He leaned his bike against a bookstore window, turned around, and walked slowly toward City Hall. From the darkness of the road behind him, a succession of dark red and blue lights illuminated the surroundings, growing more and more intense. A police car drove past him, then went straight ahead, driving alongside City Hall and disappearing into the snowy darkness. His heart beat at an uncontrollable, fast, strong rhythm, but he maintained his trajectory and his breathing. Inhale for 2 seconds, exhale for 5, and City Hall came sharply into view. The dog and its owner had vanished. The surroundings seemed deserted. Georgi pulled the spray can from his bag and quickly shook it. His hand knew the motions for each letter, although they were slightly disfigured by the pressure of the moment. In a tourist mountain town like this one, at least one pair of eyes could spot him, right here, right now. The odds were greater than 0. He painted the same inscription twice as fast, tossed the spray can into his backpack, and retraced his steps through the snow. Once on the bike, Georgi observed his work. The snowflakes were falling, lightly covering the bright red letters. He turned left into an alleyway, crossed a courtyard, and headed toward the train station, where access to the railroad tracks was closest. A clock tower stood in the distance. The black void, a world of solitary people, rose up around him, and within it, whispers and heartbeats echoed. Rare lighted windows illuminated the horizon, piercing the night. Inside, lives unfolded, some going to sleep, others letting themselves be tormented by insomnia. In this storm, the light seemed to come from ship cabins, lost in the heart of an Ivazovsky ocean. A silent sadness overwhelmed Georgi. He stopped.
They all sleep without dreaming. All of them, like robots.
His words flew into the wind, carrying a few snowflakes with them, over the roofs of the buildings, which trembled under the weight of the days. Georgi resumed his route and slowly followed the street toward the station square. As he turned, he caught sight of two police officers out of the corner of his eye, walking, likely on patrol. Georgi slightly increased his speed and disappeared behind a building. Without stopping, he glanced behind him. They weren't following him. A car door to his left suddenly swung open, knocking him down. Georgi realized the accident had happened once he was off balance and on the ground, a few meters from the car. Instinctively, without thinking, he got back up, jumped back onto the bike, fled the scene at top speed, turned left and, crossing intersections and alleys, headed for the pedestrian railway crossing. A male voice from the car chased him the whole way, first a deep shout, then scattered echoes, resonances mixed with the gusts. Without slowing down, he crossed the train tracks, continued through a residential neighborhood, and took the road home. Georgi was trembling, unable to control his breathing. Adrenaline and heat enveloped him, momentarily chasing away the freezing chill that lingered in the night air. To the left, on a muddy field, in the flickering light of the approaching train's headlights, a flock of crows flapped their wings frantically, black as ebony. The train sounded its horn. The sky seemed to laugh and then bite its tongue, a strident melody that echoed in the depths of living souls. The crows began to croak in chorus, a macabre rhythm akin to an ancestral incantation. Their voices intertwined in a mournful symphony, evoking unspeakable forces beyond human comprehension. Georgi felt his soul waver, torn between an abyssal terror and an irresistible fascination for the unknown, as if he stood on the threshold of a cosmic revelation. The train finally passed, its lights faded out, plunging the world back into total darkness. An oppressive silence fell over the earth, broken only by the ethereal murmur of the wind, carrying with it remnants of forgotten realities. The crows, now frozen in a vigilant posture, watched Georgi intently, following him with their eyes, sparkling pearls that distorted the night, reflecting an ancient wisdom, a latent malevolence, revealing a dizzying sensation of infinity and nothingness. Arriving at the intersection, past which lay the final stretch, he stopped and took the opposite direction, toward a 24/7 convenience store.
A lighter, please.
20 rubles.
Here, thanks. It'll help with the cold.
The cashier kept a radiant smile as she counted the change. She had rounded curves and a tired, almost exhausted face. She must have been new. Georgi had never seen her before. Then again, he didn't frequent this store often. The snow crunched beneath his steps. He entered the house, leaving the darkness and the cold outside, where the storm now raged like a furious beast. The warmth of the home tinted his cheeks red. The rhythm of the snoring hadn't changed since he left. Georgi grabbed a pack of smokes off the fridge facing the entrance and stepped back outside. He put the spray can back in its place and lit a cigarette. The wind whipped the ground, freezing it. The footprints in the snow had already faded. Suddenly, the door opened. Georgi shoved his right hand into his anorak pocket to conceal the sleeve stained with fresh paint.
Where were you?
I needed a lighter. I just got back from the store.
The one at the intersection?
Yep.
The lamp next to the gate was blinding. The snowflakes danced in the air, and under its light, instantly transformed into glittering sequins, like shooting stars.
Good night. Don't stay up too late.
Over the next 4 hours, Georgi lost himself in random yet interconnected reflections. He recalled notably his first dream, or at least what he considered his first dream. In the middle of a dense forest under majestic trees, humanoid bodies, their necks tied to the metal branches of an electrical transmission tower, caught his attention. They hung at the ends of long ropes. The wind swayed them delicately. Other silhouettes, less humanoid, twisted and misshapen, clung to the electrical cables. Motionless, they oscillated with them. The light of the full moon rendered each of the figures black. Georgi saw them everywhere, in the trees in the distance and above his head. This landscape hypnotized him. Suddenly, the ropes snapped. The bodies all fell at once. The simultaneous impact against the ground in the different corners of the forest created a dull thud, a prominent echo. Little by little, maggots infested the corpses, starting from the intestines, finally enveloped their surfaces, devoured the flesh, swallowed the internal organs, and ravaged the bones. When nothing but dust remained, the fattened larvae transformed into blue butterflies and flew toward the moon. The distorted figures caught them and melted into their light, so tenderly. At Georgi's feet, a hole formed in the earth. He knew it was an underground slide that would take him home, where his family awaited, organizing a feast to celebrate his imminent arrival. He slid the lower part of his body into the entrance of the slide, crossed his arms, and plunged into the transparent darkness. The deeper he went, the oilier the tunnel walls became. He gathered speed. In the turns, his body slammed against the plastic interior. He lost no momentum, continuously building kinetic energy. Gradually, the diameter of the slide narrowed. The space squeezed his shoulders, trapping him like a serpent wrapping around its prey. The exit opening, at the very end, was so small that all his limbs fused together. His bones bent, crushed, and compressed under the accumulated force. His mass reduced in volume, his entire body compacted, transfigured into a round block of living matter, then propelled into a pile of geometrically identical bricks. Upon waking, night still enveloped the sky. The shadows of long branches invaded Georgi's room. The wind agitated them against the entryway lamp. They danced around his bed, performing a diabolical ritual of which he was the offering, the ultimate sacrifice. Chemistry class started at 8 o'clock. He got up, got dressed, and drank black tea with his mother. She hastily emptied her cup and left to warm up the car. They hit the road together in a morning silence. Approaching the school building, Georgi focused on his feet to avoid the mud. On the opposite side, he noticed Igor, to whom he immediately gave, in a premeditated gesture, the middle finger. A group of girls was trotting behind him, including Anya, who noticed and returned the gesture.
Looks like she likes you.
Igor likes me too, just as much as you do, sir.
We need to talk about our next steps tonight at the restaurant, together.
I'll tell Nav, yes.
When evening came, the restaurant was filled with timid whispers from some and drunken shouts from others. People were celebrating the end of a new day, satisfying a primary need, to congratulate themselves for surviving the chaos in a country at war that refused to admit it, blindly sinking into increasingly impenetrable shadows where no way out presented itself. The trio settled at a table in a dark corner away from the hubbub, where they blended in, letting only blurry fragments of their voices remain.
I'm not going to beat around the bush.
Sergei faced his comrades, then fixed his gaze on Georgi.
Your hatred is visceral. It burns in your veins and won't release its grip on you. It is also pure and noble. It sustains you, lubricates your soul, and is propelling all three of us toward a future where I don't see us surviving.
Georgi had allowed himself excesses with Kirienko. He was aware of it. This anger, this rage, was nothing new. The story of the tortured grasshopper he had confided to Kirienko hadn't been invented either. So as not to stand out, Georgi had learned to control this force, to develop it, even cherish it, channeling it into boxing, for example, and resorting to it only in moments of necessity. Over time, as a result, his soul had become repressed and calloused. Kirienko was a victim of it.
If you want to stop, you just have to say it. We aren't radicals here. We have a mission, however ephemeral it may be. We know we are facing an immortal parasite, a monster that will catch up to us one day. We will be its sacrifice. In a way, we don't have much to lose. My father died during the Second Chechen War. Nav is an orphan. We are already 18. The autumn military draft is approaching, and we don't have the means to get into a university. We will either be sent to Ukraine or imprisoned for draft dodging. Might as well be locked up for something real. Fight for a cause we truly believe in, rather than becoming the tool of the state. You, Sir, you have connections. A complete family that will pay for your higher education, and even a business inheritance. Actually, I would prefer if you acted from behind the scenes, without getting directly involved in the action from now on.
A win-win situation at first glance. How far and until when, really? Until I lose my best mates?
I'm here with him unfailingly, so don't worry.
As of today, I don't know how far this frenzy will go. I can say, however, that your contact will be useful to us right now. We're out of magic trust.
You guys never sit over here. You're talking about girls, aren't you?
Jesus, Lena, you startled me. I didn't hear you coming up from behind.
You nailed it. Gosha was just revealing his feelings for Anya, his classmate. Look at him, he's all shy. It's cute.
I'll take a portion of Khinkali's.
Black tea for me, thanks.
Georgi, blushing with shame, ordered nothing.
Okie dokie, coming right up.
And some sour cream and garlic sauce, I almost forgot.
Anyway, he'll be back soon.
Who?
The dealer. Who else? We were just talking about him. He'll be in Vladikavkaz next week, with smokes and other goods. I'll put you in touch. Gosha, do you still have enough to pay him?
I'm still working every other weekend, so yeah.
Still in the same shop?
They like me too much. And it's an easy job. It would be stupid to change.
A few days later, in Navasard's Lada 2104, the trio navigated south.
I didn't know Vladikavkaz was only 30 kilometers from the border with Georgia. It's so close.
Navasard marveled from the driver's seat, manipulating the map on his phone, one eye on the road, the other on the screen.
I don't entirely understand how your contact transports the goods from Armenia, given the situation at that border. The migratory flow must be even higher than last year, which puts more pressure on the border checkpoints.
Exactly. The load is such that the quality of the checks goes down. Plus, the border agents know him.
He bribes them?
I couldn't say.
Is there anything we should be aware of before meeting him?
He has a budgie that lives in his hair. It flies off sometimes, but doesn't move too far, staying within his mob.
That's unusual.
Anything else we should know?
The budgie swears like a sailor in Armenian, so don't be surprised if you understand it. Its name is Plaguey.
Interesting.
Georgi stopped his questions, watching the landscape roll by through the window. When he got out of the car and approached the dealer at the entrance of an Uzbek restaurant, the site of their meeting, he couldn't help but notice his thick, luxuriant hair, which, like a young bush, blossomed in a perfect arc.
Hey there, Sergey.
Long time no see. This is Go.
Not here. Let's go inside.
They walked through the dining room, overflowing with the flavors of spices, the clatter of plates, and an incessant chatter, sometimes echoing, sometimes indistinct, then took a seat. Through the window, Georgi noticed a red streetcar slowly advancing through the downtown park.
So, I'll start over. This is good.
There, she woke up.
A small green head emerged from the dealer's black and silver hair and scanned the surroundings.
It really wasn't a joke. It lives in his hair and swears like my uncle after a bottle. Was it really necessary to wake her up walking in here? Her swearing might draw attention.
Nobody understands her, and nobody pays attention. Look around you. We're among so many others. Just 4 more people.
He turned his head, carrying the bird with him, which seemed to enjoy the ride. It effectively silenced her.
You think you're smart, huh?
I think you're here for business. You have your way of operating. I respect it. It would benefit your business to respect ours as well.
Miruzhan. You can call me Misha.
Georgi.
They shaked hands.
Do you have everything?
Cigarettes for Sergei, mushrooms for you. Smuggling them from the Netherlands to Armenia was less stressful than driving all the way here with this stash. Hence a little extra tax on the final price. Got a way to pay?
Take my backpack from under the table.
Nisha's hand slipped down and groped until it found the bag. He and Plaguey scrutinized the inside, then shifted their gaze to Georgi, who, for his part, was watching another red streetcar come down the same park. Tree branches brushed against its carriage, softly entering through the opened windows to say hello to emotionless faces.
Good, you can take mine, same spot.
I'll do it at the end. If we become mirrors of each other, we attract attention.
You're paranoid, relax and order something. How do you stand this guy, sir?
It's because I beat him at chess. He's been my servant ever since.
Not anymore. You guys know each other now, and I bow out.
Sergei called the waitress over.
She doesn't even see you. That's how well we blend into the crowd. Oh wait, here comes another one.
Sorry to keep you waiting. What would you like to order? Wow, it speaks. What did it say?
That you are ravishing, both physically and in spirit. To be so young and working this job, to not entirely burden your parents and relatives, to understand the true value of money at such an early age, it's commendable.
It said all that?
In Armenian, you can say everything in a single sentence.
That's just incredible.
Miss, I'll have the osh.
Same, I'm starving.
1 dim lama for me.
3 beef samsas and 2 lamb ones, please.
And with that?
Just your name.
It's Armine.
She headed back to the kitchen.
That name is more Armenian than mine.
She totally played you.
Misha reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of sunflower seeds. One by one, pinched between his thumb and index finger, he offered them to the little green head nestled in his hair, which devoured them greedily.
In the end, you weren't careful enough. She'll easily remember you if questioned, because of your parrot and your behavior.
You really think you're smart. I've been doing this long enough without needing your advice. The cops don't care about professionals like me. They actually profit from people like us. As for civilians, what can I say? Their blindness, their inattention, serves me well. They only see Plaguey and stop there, unable to look further, precisely because her exuberant behavior exhausts their attention span. In their memory, I'm just another eccentric weirdo.
Armina placed the first dishes on the table. Steam emanated from them, dispersing their flavor into the air. The boys, imagining the feast to come, began to salivate, like Pavlov's dogs.
It's true. It's incredibly easy to fool people. They don't even realize it.
On the drive back, Navasard focused on the dark road ahead. The high-beam headlights had needed replacing for a while, but he constantly put off the task out of sheer weariness. After all, the vehicle was entirely rusted, devoid of airbags, with a hole in the floorboard and rear seats lacking seatbelts.
My great-grandfather, who also bore the name Navasard, lived in Erzurum, Turkey at the beginning of the 20th century. During one of the ethnic purges, he managed to escape into the mountains, but his little brother and older sister weren't as lucky. His sister was raped, but her life at least was spared. Through a combination of circumstances, she survived. Years later, after reuniting with my great-grandfather, she recounted how she had been forced to watch her brother die. She described a disinfection room and inside it, metal chambers that blasted superheated steam.
Sergei glanced in the panoramic rearview mirror and caught Georgi's eye.
I'm suddenly bringing this up because, if you pay attention to the details, without getting distracted by superficial images of cruelty, you discover unexpected connections. In this instance, those metal chambers bore the inscription, "Manufactured in the German Empire." The inventions that, later on, would serve as the foundation for the machines used to exterminate the Jews were actually tested on Armenians. In those German steam chambers, the high temperature opened the pores of the skin. The steam penetrated them, reached the bones, cooked them, forming boiling water droplets inside the tissues. The version of the story I got from my grandmother ends with piercing screams, those of a kid crying and calling for his sister's help.
You can fool people, but not for long, because connections emerge regardless.
Is it true your grandmother went crazy?
Yeah, very recently. She's already forgetting events and doesn't recognize her relatives. They still found out that she buried several $1,000s somewhere in the village. Treasure hunters are all over the place now.
Fortunately, she told you your family history before forgetting everything.
And she even revealed to me where I need to dig, later when I'll need money.
By the way, Gosha, do you remember the 2 tags you left on the walls of the school and city hall? They were erased a few days later, covered up as if nothing happened.
The weekend before leaving work, Georgi took inventory of the computer components in the shop that employed him and finished the last chapter of an anthology of psychonaut testimonies he had found on the English-speaking web. The account was written by someone experienced. They highlighted that DMT offers the most accessible, profound psychedelic state. Furthermore, in terms of empirical analysis of the trip, the DMT landscape proves the simplest to navigate. Mushrooms require spiritual preparation and considerable dedication, weeks and months in advance, to obtain a satisfactory result, as well as a lot of attention and energy to remain emotionally detached during the experience itself, which can last up to dozens of hours. The same goes for LSD and other chemical hallucinogens. Their landscapes are often unknown and surprising, much like the emotions and thoughts they generate. These journeys must therefore be guided with caution, and even with this condition fulfilled, the climax is not guaranteed. Conversely, with the right dose of DMT, any novice is propelled into an intense experience, without exception. A man walked in and began examining the keyboards.
Hello, how can I help you?
Georgi noticed that the man in front of him wore a police uniform, black and red, topped with an emblematic cap. Furthermore, he felt he had crossed paths with him before, perhaps around the time a car hit him and put him in a coma. The driver responsible had never been found, despite the agitation and efforts of officers like this one.
I'm looking for a wireless keyboard, fairly portable and with good battery life.
Do you use a Mac or a PC?
A Mac, of course.
Take a look at this model.
Georgi took the device out of its packaging and handed it to the customer. On the officer's badge, he made out a last name and an identification number. Mamedov, number 225-80358.
It has beautiful curves and a soothing color. I'm almost not sure I deserve it.
Mamedov looked back up at the display case filled with other equipment, other options.
You're being hard on yourself.
Maybe it's genetic. I gave my 3-year-old son the self-criticism test the other day. Do you know it?
I'm all ears.
You show a child a sequence of drawings where a boy runs and then falls, tripping over the leg of a public bench. Statistically, children under 5 blame the bench, claiming it caused the boy's fall. Children 5 and older admit the boy is at fault because he wasn't paying attention. The level of self-criticism, therefore, increases at that precise age.
And your 3-year-old son answered as if he were 5?
Exactly. But a truly wise child would answer that the public bench was installed in non-compliance with SNIP Regulation number 111-10-75 and that the boy is not to blame.
Then you deserve this keyboard. It was developed in compliance with regulations by a trusted brand. It will serve you for a long time.
What's the price?
6,999 rubles. Respecting the standards can indeed come at a cost.
I'll take it.
While cashing Mamedov out, Georgi looked at the wall clock, then put on his anorak with the intention of closing the shop and going home.
I suppose I'm your last customer.
Fortunately not the first.
You're funny. Thanks for the advice.
Mamedov held out his hand and shook Georgi's.
Thanks for visiting.
The police officer left. Outside, the city noise accompanied his thoughts. He remembered this young man. Their last encounter dated back to his years in traffic inspection. This boy shouldn't have survived. A fractured collarbone and 2 broken ribs, internal bleeding, and, the finishing touch, a coma. Mamedov didn't know that this young man had ultimately survived, nor had he sought to find out. However, the fresh reddish stains on the sleeve of his anorak piqued his observer's curiosity. Their scattered pattern and the decrease in size relative to distance suggested the use of a spray paint can at close range. Unconsciously, connections were forming one by one in his brain. Georgi threw a final glance at the clock. It was time to close the shop. Suddenly, his thoughts shifted to the exchange with Kirienko from a few days prior. If the first dialogue in the Bible was between Eve and the serpent, then the last one was, indeed, between John, the author of the Book of Revelation, and an angel who describes him the day God returns. The resulting text is a long, practically psychedelic vision, where John becomes a witness to the apocalypse. God was dead long before Nietzsche proclaimed it. We had killed him, crucified him, and we have been searching for him ever since, Georgi thought, turning off the light.
молитвами моими укрой, и сжимая осторожно мне грудь, поднимаюсь над волною. Спасательный круг. Спасательный круг. Спасательный круг. На тебя одна надежда, мой друг. Ты держи меня, не дай утонуть. Океан грозит бедою. Спасательный круг. Ты молитвами моими укрой, не сжимая